Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am your host, Jason Weiss. This is the Ask Jason Weiss show. You will notice a different background today because today we're going to have a special show, and this is a real background, not virtual. So that's it. So let me get my disclaimer out of the way. Although I am an attorney and I am a coach and I'm a consultant and I'm all that good stuff, nothing discussed today is legal advice. Should you seek legal advice, financial advice, or any other type of advice, consult an attorney directly. There is no attorney-client privilege created here today, and nothing I am doing is legal advice. So today I have with me my partner in life, my partner in crime, my partner in marriage for almost 26 years now. My wife, business partner, best friend, and colleague, Tova. And today we're going to be talking about cooking up community. So we're in the kitchen with Tova, and what she's going to do is talk a little bit about balancing, the duties of the kitchen that she takes on and doing all that good stuff, as well as, running a 501c3 charity with our son, as well as managing work and business and sitting next to this guy almost every single day. Now, I will say one thing before we get started. If Tova and I both feel a little bit out of place, we apologize because our normal work setting is we're in different seats. So I usually only get to look at her left side and she only gets to look at my right side. So right now we're getting to see new parts of each other, and 26 years into marriage, we're still learning new things about each other. So with that being said, so Tova, spend 30 seconds on just what we're going to be doing today with regard to what we're cooking and what we get to eat. And you can watch it virtually. And if you want the recipe and want stuff, she'll share. But tell us a little bit about today, what we can expect.
So with it being the first day of spring, it's now the season to start thinking in our household about Passover, which is coming up pretty soon. And one of our family favorites is, here's a finished product. We love to have matzah brittle. And it's a dessert. It's a dessert that we like, and it's crunchy, it's salty, it's chocolatey, it's sweet. Everyone in our house always loves it, and it's really easy to make.
And for those of you that think that this is just the studio prop, it is not. Oh, good.
So we're going to start making it by taking equal parts of brown sugar, which when you measure it, you need to make sure that you're packing it so that you get a full accurate measurement. So right now we're doing a cup of brown sugar and a cup of butter. And then we're going to take it to the stove.
And just for people like me, it says on here that 2 sticks of butter equals 1 cup.
Right.
So
it's equal parts. So you could do a cup and a cup. You can do half a cup and a half a cup. It doesn't matter. You can make double recipes, triple recipes, half recipes. This morning I made a quarter of a recipe just so we can make sure to have, the finished product. So we're going to take that, melt it down, and bring it to a boil. And it only takes a few minutes to get going.
So right now, she is melting it down, just packing it down there, and she'll show you what it looks like.
Right.
So, Tova, as you're used to multitasking, I'm going to start asking you questions at the same time.
Right. But in the meantime, I've already prepped a large sheet pan with some foil because it makes it for easy cleanup. Really, it's easy cleanup because any kind of shortcut is always helpful. And I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. And what we do is
for our audience, you're taking out what in the Jewish religion, and you can get it at the grocery store, it's called matzah. So during Passover, when the Jewish people were fleeing from Egypt, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Let's see.
From the Pharaoh.
So I'm getting there. So they didn't have time for the bread to rise. So what they were doing is they were traveling across the desert to get to safety, to find a new home, to do all that, and they needed to eat. So they didn't have time for what's called leavened bread. That's so that it rises. So what came of it is this, which is flatbread. For people that have never had this before, it reminds me of a non-salted, like not a saltine, but like a club cracker or
just like a plain cracker.
Plain cracker. Doesn't have much great taste to it. It's not bad. And as somebody who's plenty of Passovers in my life, the one of the best tasting things is that first piece of Passover on matzah with margarine, salt, and pepper. Love it. My dad liked butter, so we would do it with butter. But I'm a margarine guy myself. No, actually, Dad was margarine too. You're the butter person. So anyway, so you take this matzah, which is not the best thing in the world, without being modified or without some sort of butter or salt or flavoring. And right now we have it laid out in the sheet pan. Oop, there we go. All good, right? So it's nice and flat. And I'm going to guess this sheet pan is about 24 inches by maybe 12 inches or 18 inches. And it's 1, 2, 3, about almost 4 pieces of matzah.
Right. We don't want we want a single layer because you want the mixture that's making like the topping to be able to coat everything. So
we're learning new stuff.
Since it's not Passover yet, right now, we are technically not using kosher for Passover matzah. I figured it's okay since it's not exact time yet. So like for Passover, you're going to want to use all ingredients that are kosher for Passover. And
what ingredients are kosher for Passover? I'm guessing eggs are okay if you can find them and not spend $18 an egg.
Yeah. I mean, everything that we're using today comes in kosher for Passover.
So what are some foods other than the obvious for me, which is bread? What are some things you cannot eat on Passover, so that if you are Jewish and don't know, you have Jewish friends and you don't know, or you're just interested in learning? What are some things you cannot eat during Passover other than bread?
Right. I mean, obviously bread, pasta. You can't have rice. Very traditional families or traditional like following don't eat corn and corn products because it like goes back to not really being 100% sure if they were actually kosher for Passover way back in the day. So some people, like growing up, we were pretty traditional and we were never allowed to have anything with like corn syrup in it. I remember one time my mom took me to the circus during Passover, and it was like such a treat. She let me have ice cream because we weren't sure if it was going to have any corn syrup or whatever in it, but she was like, it's fine this one.
Oh, Rena, we got you. Yeah. We got you. We got it on film too, and now it's across the internet. So we got you. So while Tova cooks, and normally I'm seated in my desk and do all that, I'm wearing this shirt today, which has got a blue heart on it. And the background, which hopefully nobody's looking at my butt, but they see it, it is Long Pole for Life. So that's a charity that our family decided to start. Admittedly, our son, who's 18 years old, an avid lacrosse player, and is going hopefully to go play in college afterwards. So let me change that. He's playing in college, and we'll leave it at that. The big reveal will come out shortly. But at the end of the day, this is a charity that our family is a part of, and it's called Long Pole for Life. And one of the things that it does is it raises both awareness for the sport, and also it talks about safety within the sport. So speaking of safety, she's coming over with a hot pot. I'm backing up.
All right, so here, when we see, okay, so it's all been combined and boiled. You'll see that it's really kind of, it's not emulsified, but it looks more emulsified than separated. So now we're going to take this mixture and pour it over the matzah. And once we have it all out, we can We can spread it over as much as possible to get the coating over everything as evenly as possible.
And because we're on TV and it's sanitary stuff, I'm doing everything in my power not to go touch that and taste it.
Oh, you'll burn yourself.
I will burn myself. I would also contaminate it, and then the the USDA health agencies would shut it down.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the dirty dining on local 10 news. We do love what you do, local 10.
Yeah. Okay, so now that it's pretty much fully coated, we're going to put it in the oven again at 350. And we're going to bake it for 15 minutes. So I'll set a timer. And the reason we bake it is so it brings the sugar butter mixture up to a higher temperature so that when it cools down, it kind of like cracks, which is more like a toffee versus it kind of looks a little caramelly, but it's really, we want that actual like the break.
So is that why our daughter calls it matzah crack?
Yes.
Okay. See, I thought it was called matzah crack because once you have one bite, you're addicted and you need it and you can't wait for Passover to come again. So so let's keep going. Originally I had you on the show years ago when we were talking about working with your spouse, what it's like and what to expect, and here we are still working together. We're obviously in a different place, in a different kitchen, and doing whatever. So let's talk a little bit about that relationship work balance, and then we'll take a break. And then when we get back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about the foundation, and at that point in time, the matzah crack will be ready. So basically, I rewatched the show from when we did it years ago, and we said, look, there's ups and there's downs, and there's trials and tribulations, and the more and more, and I've actually been retained by a couple of people lately because someone has stolen money from them, a bookkeeper, an accountant, a wire transfer, a fraudster, recruiters who say that they can do something for you and don't. So one of the benefits that I have is if money is going to be stolen from my business, which I am the owner because she is not an attorney, she's not allowed, but the only person that really has access to it to steal it would be her. And the only thing she's going to do is spend it on the kids. So I'm in a no-lose situation, right? Because if my money goes missing, I know that Logan got a new pair of cleats, Maddie got a new Tiffany necklace, something like that. But all kidding aside, how are you finding, the balance of, having two kids that both go to school and, there's no bus that takes them to or from. Thankfully, our son does drive, so he does that. But balancing that, running a foundation, running the books for numerous companies, and then doing things like, cooking, because that's something you actually enjoy. I mean, how do you balance it all is my question.
I think that part of it is just in my nature. Like, I feel like I'm an easier going person, and I kind of like to let things just kind of go with the flow, and whatever happens, and it'll all work out at the end. And
it's the journey. Trust the process. I hate that. People say, trust the process. Enjoy the journey. Hell no. Forget the process. I just want to go, like I was just on with a client, right? I'm not going to use his or her name, but it was just like, I wanted to just get to the point. Like, hey, look, I got to make a settlement offer on a case. Tell me what I can offer. Don't give me the rationale behind it. Just say, offer $5,000 to get it done. Offer $50,000, get it done. I don't care the rationale. I don't care if it's, well, if I'm getting this and I'm getting that and doing all this, I don't care. She, on the other hand, will be more like, okay, I'll listen to what you have to say.
Right.
And she'll go through the whole story and she'll listen to the whole thing. And then she'll be nice enough to say, okay, so let me just confirm. You want me to make matzah crack on the radio show? Yes. Okay, I'm cool with that. And that's how it goes. So, but how do you keep like everything so in place? Like I'm still amazed.
Well, I've got a nice calendar that I keep and I update, and I learned that from you actually, that your tendencies of being very organized help me out, because I have found myself to become a lot more organized as well. Just working with you, and I think we are a good team, that we balance each other, and knowing that you're there is helpful to me, so that I know that whatever needs to get done, we're going to get done.
And they always tell you, like you hear about it now, especially like with all these hiring processes that are going on. And I'm not talking about DEI, even though that's one of the things I'm talking about, but the whole thing is like this. You don't want to work with somebody, and I'm not saying have somebody work for you or work for them. Work with somebody. I use that phrase very deliberately. You don't want to work with somebody who is exactly like you. And I'm not talking physical attributes. I'm saying you don't want the person that, if there was two of me, one of us would be dead, if not both of us. If it was two of her, then prior to this, everybody would just be la, 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 la. So I think as our daughter is sticking her head in, smelling the matzah crack and laughing at us for the story that we're telling. But you need somebody that can balance that out. So she's more of, and I'll give you the great example, right? We had a little, at our old house, we had a little patch spot that needed to be fixed. We had an AC leak, and I don't know, it wasn't an AC leak, but it was a patch that we had to do. And I went ahead and I covered it up and I spackled it up. And 15 minutes later, I'm going over there and I'm checking the spackle and I'm putting more spackle on and all this. And she comes home and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh, you fixed the hole in the wall. How many containers of spackle did you use?" And it's basically like she had to undo everything I did. And we sanded it and I spackled it once again. And she basically said, "I'm taking the spackle, I'm taking the tool, go away. You want to check on it? Check on it in 2 hours. Let it dry." And that's her personality. She could let that happen. Me, I'm up and I'm going up. And even after that, I listened to what she said and I went up to it and I had my hands behind my back, literally like this, like, "Is it dry yet? Is it dry yet? Is it dry yet?" And that's where the balance is. And that's with me in life. Look, I want everything done yesterday. My clients expect everything to be done last week. Tova's like, you get to it when you get to it.
As long as it's timely.
Correct. Look, our tax returns were due on the 17th of March. She had them done timely. And that's what it is. But if she would have submitted it on the 16th, she would have been fine. I know her. She probably would have wanted to submit it by the 14th to give herself that leeway. Same thing, with when we're sending wires, right? One of us always calls and confirms those wire instructions. And I had a conversation with an attorney yesterday about that. I'm like, "Yeah, we'll wire the settlement funds, but I got to call you to confirm." And he wrote back to me, "Confirm, I'm confused." So I pick up the phone, I called him up, and I'm like, "Look, I'm wiring you out more than $10,000. I don't want to be on the hook for that. So I'm calling you to make sure it's you. We've spoken in the past. I got the email. Someone didn't intercept it, yada, 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 yada. And the wire will go out on Friday or Monday." That's good, right? Because if you didn't make that phone call and it was wrong, we could be held liable. So I tell everybody that's starting a practice or anything with financial, if you are sending a wire, confirm those wire instructions unless you are willing to cover any loss that happens because of it. So
it's not worth it.
Same thing with Zelle, same thing with Venmo. Call. You don't know that person? Call. You don't recognize the number? Call. And don't call the number that's on there. Call the number that you always use. So if it's Bank of America, dial 1-888 Bank of America and speak to the rep. Don't dial the 516 number that appears on your phone. So with all of that said, I'm going to take a deep breath. I smell the matzah crack. How much time do we got left on the oven?
6 minutes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 20 to 30 second break for our commercial for our wonderful sponsors. And then we're going to get back to it. And speaking about sponsors, we're going to talk a little bit about long pole for life and what it does. So let's go to a commercial break and we'll keep on cooking. So my much better half will be back here in a minute. She just had to go grab the trivets. Again, I'm Jason Weiss. This is the Ask Jason Weiss show, and we are on a cooking special today with Tova Weiss, who is also the office manager at Weiss Law Group. She is the president of Long Pole for Life. And again, although I am an attorney, nothing said right now is legal advice. Nothing said on this entire show is legal advice. Nothing ever out of my mouth on this show at any point in time is legal advice. So hire your own attorney. And it's not attorney-client privilege. You can use this recipe for the matzah crack. So
the one and only recipe I will share.
The one and only recipe that she will share. So explain that to the viewers, because your friends and family know what that's all about. Explain that.
I don't know. It's just like, I feel like I was brought up where we'd rather just make it for you instead of share the recipe, because it doesn't always turn out the same. My mother, again, I'm bringing her up. She's very by the book. Everything is measured perfectly, exactly when she bakes, when she cooks, everything. And I'm kind of like, this looks about right. And, certain things I'll actually measure. But it never turns out the same if you don't measure. So
she's telling you that story. The real story is this. There are certain recipes in her family that will always remain as part of the family. I don't know what those are. I don't know which ones are family secrets, friend secrets. So I'm not going to say them. But I will tell you this. When my bubby would make her chicken soup for Passover, it was just basically like you took a piece of chicken, you threw in a couple carrots, you threw in a couple pieces of celery, and you put it in water and you let it boil. So then she comes into our life, and one year she decides to make Passover soup for the entire family. Big task. We're a huge family of like 10 people at the time or something. And she makes her chicken soup. And she takes Bubby's recipe and she looks at it. She goes, cool. And then she adds flavor and she adds stuff and she puts vegetables in the blender and all of this. And everybody, even Bubby, was sitting there. Oh my God, this is so good. This has so much taste. And Tova's like, I added salt. And it's just sometimes those little things to tweak it. There's so many times that she'll come in off the grill or I'll make something on the Blackstone. I don't grill, but I Blackstone and it's good. Oh, yeah. And she'll be like, this isn't so great. It needs a little something. It's just go grab some kosher salt and then, oh my God, it's like night and day. So I guess part of the point of this whole story is, you got to sometimes go with the flow and you got to learn as you go. And you can't be as rigid. I'm not saying, Rena, you're wrong in measuring it the way that you measure it and everything precisely.
Be the same every time.
That works for her. The Mercedes, when she comes to our house, that's she comes here. When I make the coffee, I make 4 heaping scoops. She loves it. When Tova makes the coffee, she makes 4 even, and Mercedes says that it's too strong. Don't know. So look, it's all, again, trial by error. You really can't do that in the legal practice, a trial by error, but you can, meaning, you know what? I tried this in the past and it didn't work for that client. So I'm going to try something a little different for this new client or something along those lines. So we're checking on the oven.
Yep. No, we got like 1 more minute.
Okay. So I'm not the only impatient one. I think she just wants
I just want it to look right. It has to be the right color.
It has to be the right color. It has to be pretty. It has to be all that. So since we only have a minute, we'll go ahead and we'll chat for another minute because I really do want to get into a little bit. And if you can multitask, we can.
Yes, I can.
So tell us a little bit about Long Pole for Life.
So Long Pole for Life is a foundation that we are trying to raise money and equipment to buy equipment for less privileged areas to play lacrosse, because lacrosse is an extremely expensive sport. The equipment is not cheap at all, but it's really important because safety is number one. We've been at games where a helmet or a chest protector has literally saved a life.
Yeah.
So
we were at a game, 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
Where 2 kids went bang, head to head, back of the helmet. One kid hit the ground, probably in concussion protocol, and the other kid was okay. So we're going now back to the oven. Okay. We've got
it's like a nice dark brown, not too dark because you don't want to burn it because it will burn. Would you mind moving that piece?
And again, how long was that in?
It was in for 15 minutes. 350. Okay. All right. Yeah.
For workers' comp.
Yeah, because although that premium has been paid.
Okay.
So next we put different toppings on. In our house, we like chocolate chips and marshmallows. You can put pretty much anything that goes with like a toffee on top of it. If you like pecans, if you like walnuts, if you like M&Ms, or just really anything. So here, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, and again,
bringing this to a friend to make sure your morsels are
kosher for Passover. Right. We have a great kosher market near us called Aroma, and they just have so much variety there that to choose from. It's like with marshmallows and chocolates and candies and gluten-free kosher for Passover items.
Now, how do you know, other than it's saying kosher for Passover?
That's how you know.
How do you know?
It has to say kosher for Passover.
So just you on it?
Yeah, that's just showing that it's dairy.
That it's dairy.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But it's not. I mean, it would have to say kosher for Passover.
So I have a thing.
Nice. Right. No, these aren't either. Okay, but they do make kosher for Passover marshmallows. They just, this is what we had on hand.
If you're making for yourself, family at home, go for it,
right?
But if you are planning on using this great recipe and surprising some of your Jewish friends and they're a little bit more conservative in their Judaism,
right?
Then you need to make sure to check everything that says kosher for Passover on the actual bag or the bottle.
And people actually make this. I've seen it with saltines. So,
that's the word I was looking for. Saltines.
Yeah. So some people, they make it with saltines. So now this is going to go back in the oven until the marshmallows kind of puff and get a little toasty brown. You have to keep an eye on it because marshmallows will burn really quickly. It could take anywhere from like a couple of minutes to really just a couple of minutes.
Okay. Put that back into the oven.
Yep. And you have to keep an eye on it because, like I said, it will burn.
Okay. So we'll go back and forth from there.
You want to come
over a little bit. So we were talking about Long Pole for Life and the chest protectors and the helmets. So like a car seat that hopefully most people know, they expire. So if you get the top of the line helmet, when our son started playing in 4th grade, other than the fact that yes, he grew, yes, he got bigger and all of this, he's probably on his 4th or 5th helmet by now. And each helmet conservatively is $250 to $300. And helmets are not something that, unless it's brand new, that you could pass it down. Plus, you don't want it for sanitary reasons. Gloves, sure, until they rip and until you can wear those forever. Sticks, same thing. You could use those sticks forever and ever. Chest protectors, up until about 3 years ago, you needed new ones. Why? Because they have something called the EKG, which is, it's in the middle, and it's basically your heart protector. So that if, when your heart is pumping, at the second it pumps, if a ball were to hit you, it could cause a cardiac event. And for those sports fans and people that were aware of what was going on, when Damar Hamlin from the Buffalo Bills was hit with that tackle, and he went in cardiac arrest right there on the field. If he was wearing that EKG heart protector type of shoulder pads that they use in lacrosse, there is a very, very strong chance that whole thing would have been eliminated, because that chest protector stops from the ball hitting you. And these balls hurt. Yeah. Let me tell you, you get hit by one, even when it was just bouncing, they hurt. They leave welts, they leave marks. So that's the other important thing. And those are about $180 to $200. So you're talking, just to get into the sport for safety purposes only, you're looking at $500. And there are so many families and kids that are not able to get into the sport because of it. So what we decided as a family that we wanted to do is we started raising awareness. We started raising things, and we started this foundation called Long Pole, the number 4, life.com. So it's longpole4life.com. And then there are other phenomenal organizations out there. That Casey Powell has one, and it has to do with helping players that suffered injury on the field, like head trauma and that kind of stuff, helping those after. And I told this to Casey Powell, who's a legend in the lacrosse community. I told this to him in jest, but I was being serious. If Long Pole for Life does what we want, Casey's foundation will no longer be necessary, because we will make sure that all kids, all players, and everybody else are safe and are good. And then Casey Powell's efforts won't have to be as much. Now, Casey Powell's foundation is awesome. We love it. We support it. We're involved as much as we can. But at the same time, our goal is to make it so that everybody is protected. If you want to check out the shirt, some of the gear, it's longpole4life.com. And, it's a 501c3. It's completely tax deductible. You get that tax break. And, feel free to make a donation. Feel free to check it out. Feel free to just buy a shirt. But that's not what we're pushing here today. What we're really pushing is the safety of the players and balancing doing things like matzah crack and running a family, running an office, running a business, taking care of a dog, 2 turtles, and birds that come out.
Oh, my birds.
Our birds. And they come out. We had birds that laid a nest up on a fan outside. And ever since then, the woman that's feared birds is now a bird lover. And she goes out there and she's, hey guys, good morning. And she's throwing seeds to them and all this. And it's so fun to watch. I wish my fear of snakes could be eliminated the same way, but no. So the matzah crack is coming out. I am going to move away because I'm scared of the heat.
Oh, this is what it looks like.
And you can see there's a little bit starting to brown.
Yep.
Which, those are yummy over a campfire.
Yes. So you can make it as brown or as light as you want. I'm just a little fearful of it burning because that has happened before.
Right.
So now it's...
She doesn't want to burn on air. So she's got proof that, hey, look how beautiful this is.
Yes. So you can also put it under the broiler if you want to brown it up. But again, watch it because it will burn quickly. So now it's done. Just let it cool.
And how long does it take to cool?
It could probably take about a half an hour.
Okay.
So once it's cool, then you can, again, I'll put it over here.
Okay. So
yeah.
You know me, I'll burn myself, and then I'm calling the workers' comp for them.
Yeah. And again, that premium's been paid.
Yes. Even though this is outside the normal scope of the office procedure, so I don't know.
That is true.
But who knows? We're not going to try it out. We're going to be safe here.
Okay. So when it's done, you can break it off into pieces. You'll see that it has a nice crack and crunch, and it's addictive.
As I've eaten pieces during the course of the show,
Mhm.
I'm happy just eating a marshmallow.
Oh.
Oh, that's so good. So for those of you that are watching, nanny, you don't get any. But
it's salty, it's chocolatey, it's sweet.
And I think I didn't see any eggs being used. Were any eggs used in this?
Oh.
So this is still economical because there's no eggs being used. It's she, she didn't even use half a bag of marshmallows. She didn't use half a bag of morsels and 1 cup of brown sugar and 1 cup of butter. And that's it. And this show is 40 minutes long, and we still have 5 minutes left, and it's done. And it is so good. So for any of you that want to surprise your family and have a wonderful Passover treat, oh my God, this is the way to do it. So let's get into, because we do have a couple more minutes, and we'll talk about a couple of things. So I usually go ahead and I ask my guests the hardest question at the end of the show, and here we go. What are you currently watching on Netflix?
Oh, what are we watching on Netflix? Is it Netflix?
Or a streaming channel? What are you watching?
We're watching Paradise.
And
we're watching The Pit.
Yes, The Pit.
That's really good. A little graphic.
Anybody that's liked ER way back when, for old people like me and not so old like her, it reminds me of ER from the show. It's great, and it's the same character, Noah Wiley.
Well, it's not the same actor.
The same actor. It's great. Really enjoy it. Thank you, CC Schatz, for the post. That yummy. So yeah, it's great stuff. So we like it. So we're watching Paradise. We're watching The Pit. And we're waiting for Reacher to finish, because we don't like to start a show like Reacher and have to catch up, because we made that mistake with The Pit, not knowing. So that's the one thing I'll tell you. So like, we waited for The Penguin to end on HBO, and then we watched it. So worth the wait.
Same with White Lotus. We're going to wait till the season's over, and then we'll watch it all.
Right. So the other question I ask, and this feels so weird asking, is what book are you currently reading?
I
know, that's what makes it crazy.
I have been listening. I like to listen in the car because I was doing a lot of driving, taking our daughter back and forth to school, back and forth to dance before. Our son has been a super help with the fact that he drives her to school every day.
Also, she did a road trip from South Florida all the way up to Maine.
Right.
So
we like to listen in the car, and I have 6 minutes left.
How could you not finish?
We got home. I didn't want to just sit in the driveway. We have 6 minutes left of Watership Down.
Oh, that was a great book. I read that book in high school, and it was basically, from my remembering, it was basically like farm animals coming to life and their whole society within, and they talk and the hierarchies. I read it in high school. It was awesome. I read it, so I recommended it to Tova and Logan, and Tova.
We started it. We wound up only listening to about half of it over the summer. We listened to a lot of music instead on our road trip. But I've been driving a little bit more lately, so I wanted to finish it. So we have 6 minutes left. I'm in the epilogue.
Oh boy. So, and I think the next book that she's going to listen to again will be Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, which was my book. And I'm very excited to say that the editor and the publishing company now has volume 2, which is going to be called More Shit They Never Taught You in Law School.
And read that one.
And it's not only for lawyers, it's the navigating the legal system for everybody. And there's a lot of points in there and a lot of business things in there. And the editor wrote me a private note when she was just cleaning it up and making sure consistently, like, I had her on the floor laughing at parts. Oh my God, this applies. So hopefully the editor will allow me to use her comments, but that's it. So we're almost done here. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to step away for 1 second, because I want to show my newest, what's going on. And we just got our batch of pineapples in from Hawaii. Thank you, Dole. And if you see, it's a little hard to see, but there are a little white. There they are. Those are the roots that are starting to go. And I am growing pineapples from Hawaii in my backyard. Currently have 2 that are about this big that are growing. And a handful more, and maybe when those pineapples are ready, which who knows when, we'll do something fun with pineapples or pineapple vodka. Don't know any kids that would drink that. No, no, no. But pineapple vodka. I know adults that would drink that. What else have we done? We've done pineapple ice cream that our daughter does.
In the Ninja Creamy.
In the Ninja Creamy. Thank you, Auntie Hope. So that's what it is. So look. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about the matzah crack or matzah brittle, you can email me at jason@askjasonweiss.com. You can also email me at jason@jswlawyer.com. And you can also email Tova directly if you want at tova@jswlawyer.com. tova@jswlawyer.com. She'd be more than happy to help you out. And knowing her, she'd probably ship you some. So, because she likes to make the stuff. So, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I want to thank everybody for listening here today. One last look at this yummy looking matzah brittle. It looks really good.
Tastes good.
Tastes really good. To CC, the new streaming network, Going Bold, and everybody else who makes this show happen, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Happy spring, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.